So we'll try that again. We'll go for hi everybody, how you doing? So we'll see if we could get Ed connected today. I know we had some problems last week with Josh, so I'm hoping that the gremlins are out of the system now. I restarted my phone, so if failing that, we'll maybe have to get Casey to try and host it. And there he is there, the man of the hour. He's finally on, because he's a legend. See how we got on now. We'll try and get Ed in now. Ed's back. Master Casey, how are you?
No, I'm moving too much. I was trying to stand still.
You're moving too much. Your wee bobbly head is bobbling along. Ed,
there we go.
There we go.
Hello.
Here we go again. Take two. What are you whittling about now, Casey?
My audio's being weird. I don't know why, but I can hear you. I can hear you. You're just quiet. That's all it is.
Oh, can you hear me okay, Ed?
Yep.
Perfect.
I think it's my end. It's fine.
So this is your second appearance with us. So if you want to just give us a quick, for new people new at the inquisition, just give us a wee bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Ed. I live in Cornwall. I paint lots of models. Probably started towards, I think it was 2019, just before the pandemic I started. Got into it through COVID, took a wee break, and then I'll do it as often as I can.
And what got you into? We'll just go quickly over your past quickly. What got you into doing it? Was it just through COVID, or was it a friend that got you into it, or what?
So I was kind of big into it. I say big into it. Kind of big into it when I was a kid, around 5th edition. Had some codexes, didn't really buy any of the models, and then, as lots of people do, take the break, as it were. And then around that sort of time, I was just looking for something to do. I just left uni. I was looking for a hobby and thought, oh yeah, I'll give that a go again. And then the rest, as they say, is history.
And you're now doing commission painting. How's that? What's that like, going from hobby to kind of making money out of it now?
It's been good, to be fair. So I started doing that originally about 3 or 4 years ago, and then properly started it about 12 months, 15 months ago. Yeah, it's been fun, to be fair. I've had a mediocre amount of success with it, I suppose. I've got a couple of commissions currently booked in, and just slowly chipping away at them.
What sort of stuff is it that you're doing on your commissions? Is it, because before when we had you on, obviously it was mostly 40k stuff? Are you branching out? You're painting whatever anyone wants you to, or are you sticking purely to what you know?
I'm happy to paint whatever anyone wants to, but it's been predominantly, if not exclusively, 40k stuff. Some heresy, but mostly 40k.
And like I said, the uptake's been good on it. At least you've got your client base. Does it tend to be the same sort of armies that you see come across your desk? We're talking Space Marines, or again, are we sort of?
Sort of a mix, to be fair. So I originally basically got a couple of people to do, like, for commission customers, I suppose. It feels like a weird way of saying customers, through Reddit. Okay. There's a subreddit called Brush for Hire where people post up what they want and then pay a message. So I did that. So I've done a Necron Force, Imperial Guard, some Chaos Knights. I think that's it off the top of my head. I've got some Guard at the minute that I'm doing, but they are by no means camera ready. And then after this, I've got an Iron Warriors Force for Heresy to do.
Which is a bit of bread and butter for you, isn't it? You enjoyed your Iron Warriors last time we had you on.
It is indeed my bread and butter. I can do that in my sleep at this point.
So, it's interesting that you mentioned Reddit, because I've got very limited experience of the place, and it seems to be a very, very strange little corner of the internet, I personally think. How have you found, like, branching out and actually just taking commissions from that? Because it is kind of like, although there's so many different forms of social media nowadays. Reddit seems to be its own enclosed little thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a microcosm. Like I said, people post up on there, and you message them, and if they get back to you, they get back to you. If they don't, they don't. Fortunately, I've been quite lucky. The couple of people that I've done commissions for, I've then got repeated stuff from them.
Oh, cool.
The only problem with it really is, well, I say problem. The annoyance with that thing is that subreddit, you'll have so many posts saying that people are in the US and very few in the UK or Europe.
Yeah.
So it often means that people don't tend to go with people that are in Europe because shipping is a nightmare to the US at the minute. Understand? So, but you know, you message and you hope for the best.
Cool.
And have you found that going from, you see yourself improved a lot from going from non-commission work to commission work then?
I would say so, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm by no means like a golden demon winning painter, but I can paint to a pretty decent standard and people are willing to pay for it, so I can't be that terrible.
And how did you find like pricing your time? Because obviously time's precious. So how did you find initially? Was it you did it like on the cheap and then you've just gradually kind of built your price up, or have you stuck with the one price ever since?
I'm getting better at pricing. I very much when I started sort of sold myself short time wise because I was like, oh yeah, this will just be fun to paint and the money's just a nice extra. Whereas now it's still enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but I am trying to make a fairer price schedule for it. And
do you feel yourself under pressure? Because from a few commission people that I've spoke to privately and on here, there is that kind of different timescale of pressure. Do you get that a lot, or is that just something you put on yourself?
More so that I put on myself. I've been quite fortunate. The people that I've done commissions for have been get to it. When you get to it, there's no real like, oh, I need this army done in 3 months or anything like that. So I've been quite fortunate in that regard.
And what made you want to go into commission work? Because you must be mental to be wanting to paint little plastic soldiers in your spare time and then going full tilt into commission work. What was the reason, or why did you take that jump?
I thought it'd be fun, to be honest with you. And it is. And you're right, I am mental, given I have a full-time job and a side job and then commission painting as well. Originally, to be fair, it was, I just wanted to paint different things. So I took commissions for things that I didn't normally paint, like the Necron one that I did. I did just before Christmas do a Bolt Action Army, which was an interesting one to do as well. But yeah, it's definitely helped me paint different things, and I've learned from that.
And has it made you want to pick up any other models yourself to paint, or start playing yourself?
Yeah, a lot, which is always a fun one to try and balance. A friend of mine asked me to do a Tau commission for him. That then fell through, so I was stuck with a load of Tau models. Not stuck. He let me keep them, so I had a whole Tau army ready to go, and that was fun. There's a couple of battle suits on my page that I painted, and then I sold that recently to start my most recent mad harebrained project.
And what is that?
I've gone back to doing custodies.
Oh.
What do you mean,
Yeah. Just spray paint everything gold though, and that's easy, isn't it?
You say that, it's been ridiculously easy to do. I haven't sprayed everything gold. I've dry brushed it all bronze, and it looks really lovely.
Oh.
I could show you, but currently it's all packed up in my bag because I'm taking it with me to the Bristol GT this weekend.
Oh, lovely. I was going to say, we've obviously, going into the commission side of things and taking on some jobs like that. Have you found that it's sort of giving you a kick up the arse with hobbying and that you're enjoying it more, or is it a case of you struggle to find that? It's a weird thing to say because it is a hobby and it's something that you're doing, but it's a work-life balance that you then got to strike between this thing that you like doing in your spare time and now this thing that you're also doing to earn some cash.
Yeah, the answer is yes to both.
Okay.
So the Necron commission that I did, I thought it'd be great. Never painted Necrons. They're easy. You spray them silver and you dry brush them. Not quite. I started that commission really struggling with it, to be honest. So I was like, it's not an army I play. I'm not a massive Necron fan. I'm not really getting into it to paint them. But the more of it I painted, the more I fell in love with the models. And by the end of it, I was like, I want to paint more now. But I can't because that's the end of the commission.
I will say generally Necrons, I've found that, and I've got an army of them. I think they're one of those ones you look at and they're not very inspiring because, like you say, it's just you're just doing silver. How often can you do silver differently? But yeah, I've got someone to go at the moment. And with respect to your playing, then you're entering your GT. How's that all going with you?
That's going to be interesting. It's my first big tournament I've ever done. The biggest ones I've done before have been like local 2-day events, 30 players. Bristol's, they clocked in at 430 players this year. So that's going to be an interesting one. Basically, the gaming group I'm part of, a bunch of them were like, oh, are you going to go to Bristol? Because that's, in a month or two and we're all going. I was like, yeah, why not? She'll be fine. So
one of those ones, you said, yeah, why not? And then you think, oh shit, what have I done?
Yeah. Well, originally I was going to take my Iron Warriors that I've been playing as Blood Angels. And then I had a string of, I guess, bad games and sort of fell out of love with playing them and went, oh, I wonder what I could do instead, like looking at different armies. And then a couple months ago, the new Custodes detachment came out. I was like, oh, this seems like a lot of fun. So I turned around a 2,000-point army in 4.5 weeks.
Well, I suppose if you're just spray painting everything gold, then
dry brushing everything gold.
Yeah.
There you go, dry brushing. But that's still some impressive feat within 4 weeks to turn around a new army, a new detachment. You've got to learn that. You've got to build it. You've got to go through everything from scratch with it. How's that been as a learning curve?
Yeah. So I used to play Custodes. The last time I was on, I think I just finished painting a Custodes army, which it's become a bit of a running joke with our gaming group that I sold them. I then started doing the Iron Warriors and playing them as Blood Angels. And probably about twice a week, I'd complain about having sold the Custodes and about how much I missed them. So eventually I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. So I did. And have. And Jesus.
And how long is this tournament on for? Is it this weekend or is it?
Yeah, it's this weekend. So it's 3 games on the Saturday, 2 on the Sunday, and then if by some major miracle I make the top 8, 2 games on the Monday as well. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Is your work on standby for you phoning in sick?
No, fortunately, I booked the Friday and the Monday either side off because I didn't know what day I was traveling or anything. So I was like, I'll just book and have a long weekend.
And how far away is that from you, from Cornwall to Bristol?
Bristol is about, I think it's about 130 miles, give or take. So I'm getting picked up at 5:30 Saturday morning. The intention's to get there for about 8:30 and then be playing for 9:30.
Oh, that's manky.
Yeah.
See, I think we talked about this before, where your little corner of the world, it feels like it's so close, but it's also so bloody far from everything anyway.
So I used to go to university up in Huddersfield, so getting from Huddersfield to Cornwall was like a day and a half endeavour sometimes.
Could you have picked somewhere further away, maybe?
Well, it's funny you say that, because originally I wanted to go to Glasgow, so...
No.
What was it you studied again?
I did 2 years of forensics and then left at the end of my second year.
Become a full-time commission painter.
Part-time. We're getting there.
And do you have aspirations to maybe go for a Golden Demon at some point? Do you feel as though that's within your wheelhouse?
Why not?
I don't... I'm going to say no currently, because I like painting to a good level, not a fantastic level, if that makes sense. Like, the idea of spending 400 hours on one model sounds like the 7th circle of hell for me. So, maybe at some point, but not in the immediate future.
I mean, there's no harm in cracking your arm at any point, is there? This is something I always sort of, I've denied about myself. I am nowhere near good enough, but I'd enter it into something at some point. And what's the harm in it? Especially if this is now a little bit your part-time work, this is the way you're going with it. If get your name out there a bit more.
Oh yeah, like never say never, but like I said, currently, no.
Fair enough.
Oh, what was I going to ask? So, what are you running then on? Are you running your custodies? Is there any this new detachment? How is that different from the old detachments for custodies?
So the long and short of it is basically, if your units are outside of 6 inches of each other, they get +1 to hit and wound in shooting and melee, which is kind of potent. I've found. Like, I've played a couple of practice games, nowhere near enough as I probably should have, given I'm going to a big tournament next weekend. But it does some serious work, which is, it's nice.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat decent to playing the Blood Angels, because I used to play them in Liberator, so you get the +2 strength and attack on the charge. So there's similar levels of upgrade on the combat, which is handy.
Yeah. It's also got to be that little bit more mindful of if everything's got that bonus when they're so close to each other. You've really got to think about your board control then, haven't you? Because it's not just a simple case of there's an objective here, I'll split this unit off, and then you start losing your bonuses across your army, don't you? You've got to be a bit more mindful about how to play it.
Oh yeah, like when you start the game and everything's all next to each other, you go, this is going to be potentially difficult. But then I remember I have bikes which move fast, so they're all right.
Yeah.
And is there any female custodies in your army?
Yes, actually. They're probably under the helmet somewhere, because I don't tend to put bare heads on my models. But yes, because it'll annoy someone out there, and it's worth annoying them.
And at a GT, you're probably 500 people. You're never going to see most of them ever again. You might as well just start stirring the pot and winding a few up.
It's funny you say that, because we had the pairings go up today for it, and the first person I'm playing regularly comes to the tournaments I do down here and only lives in Plymouth, which is about 30 miles from me. Typically.
At least you know him.
Well, yeah, that's true. I get on well with him, so it would be a nice couple of hours to begin the day with.
Yeah. And if you're still half asleep, at least,
I've got something to blame.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, with respect, and going back to your commission stuff, because I'm really interested in people making the leap and doing this sort of stuff. Obviously, it's a side gig for you. So how have you then found, I know I sort of mentioned your work-life balancing, doing something that you're hobbying is now becoming a little bit of a job, but then how are you balancing then life generally with then everything else on top of it?
That is a poor question to ask me, because I have terrible balance with everything. Like I said, I work my full-time job, which is like 45 hours a week. I do bar work on the weekends. I try and fit Warhammer games in, and also I live with my girlfriend, so balancing everything is fun, shall we say. But in terms of like from a hobby aspect, I try to balance it reasonably well enough. So the first couple of commissions I did, I just went flat out on them, and then found I didn't want to paint for like 2 weeks because I was just completely burnt out on it. Whereas now I've got a bit better balance where I'll do a unit, and then I'll do a little bit of something for me, then I'll do another unit and a little bit of something for me. So you get that dopamine hit, as it were, for finishing a unit, knowing you're working towards a commission, but then you can do a little bit of fun on the side, so you're not paying 40 guardsmen in a row. Definitely haven't done that before.
Now, that's actually something that popped to mind. You said obviously with your custodians, you don't like a bare head, and then you paint. If you've got to paint guard, you got to then start painting skin. You got to start painting all of those other little things that potentially you ain't got to worry about in certain armies. Have you found that you've got to really push the boat out sometimes on and challenge yourself to do things that you probably don't like doing in your own painting?
Well, specifically with the guard, not so much, because their faces are so small. It's not too much of an issue. Nothing I've painted so far really has been too challenging. I don't want to sound really big-headed about it. Fortunately, a lot of the stuff I've done and a lot of the stuff I struggle with painting wise to look good is like organic stuff. So like if someone commissioned me to do a Tyranid army, I would probably have a little bit of a breakdown for it first, because the idea of painting stuff to look organic would be a bit of a struggle. But that's because I've not really done it before. So I guess I'd cut my teeth on that and learn from it.
Definitely.
Is there anything that you've refused to paint at all yet?
No, not yet. But I tend to be relatively selective with my commissions. So I only try, like, actively push for the ones that I think I can do. I've yet to have anyone reach out to me and be like, hey, I want you to paint something for me. Could still happen. We'll see. So no, fortunately, I've not had to have that awkward conversation of me being like, no, I don't want to pick you.
And what's probably, I'm actually a kind of two-part question here. What's the biggest positive about commission painting, and what's the biggest negative you come up with for commission
I hate
painting?
this question. Positive, besides the financial side of it, which is nice, is I get to paint some really cool stuff I wouldn't get to paint normally. So, for example, the current one I've got is a guard commission, which is a bunch of Kassakin, a bunch of guard, a Lehman Russ, and a Baneblade, which I'm very excited to paint. The biggest negative is I am terrible with deadlines. So it's a blessing and a curse, the ones I've got currently being, oh yeah, get to it when you get to it. Because it means that there are points where I don't do anything for a while, which I'm aware is probably very poor advertising for myself. But it's the truth. So, yeah. And then I'll go, oh shit, I've not painted anything, and then burn myself out in a week painting 40 models. Again, definitely not done that before.
But it is, I think, for me and Dunk, because obviously, like, we're below bang average painters, I would say. I mean, Dunk's definitely getting better than me.
I am Golden Demon bound soon. Telling you.
Okay, you're bang average. I'm below par. How's that sound?
I'll take that.
Yeah, there you go. But to ever sort of sit there and think that this is something that we could do as a job and earn a little bit of money out, it's something I think that always intrigues us, isn't it? It's, you know, getting to understand motivations, what you aspire with it, or what you're sort of, you know, are you in 5 years' time? Could you think, if you're good enough, that you can go full time with it if you've got that level of work coming in? And when we've had little independent guys coming on, and even Siege Studios come on to talk about it, it's always something that's like we've picked at and drilled into. So it's nice to hear honest opinions about it all the time, because it's not something I would ever use because I'm a tight ass. But I know people that have gone out there and done it. I'm not going to lie, I am a cheap fucker. So, you know, I spend enough on this stuff. I'm not going to spend extra money to have someone else paint it. I might as well just do a mediocre job myself. But that's me. It's intriguing for me. Have you picked for the GT that your hair matches your army?
No, that's just a happy coincidence, actually. I'd not thought of that.
Because you're looking very gold.
Yeah, you're looking very Romania 94.
A lot of favors.
You're looking very Romania 1994 World Cup, when they dyed all their hair blonde, mind.
Yeah.
You're probably way too young for that, Ed. But me and Casey are...
He is, yeah. I was born 96, not to make you feel old, but yeah.
Hey, these kids, they don't... He wasn't even alive for the Euros, don't. The best Euros.
I also don't really follow football, so sorry.
Yeah, I remember that discussion, so don't worry, we won't bore you with it all. But yeah, with going back to your hobbying now, and again, I think this ties into your commission work as well a little bit. Have you found yourself looking at doing stuff that you might not have ever done before, technique-wise? So, you know, the old airbrush stuff, or any sort of bulk techniques of painting?
Yes. So I have got one of those cheap, shitty airbrushes on my desk somewhere under all of my stuff, which I've not really gotten on with very well. But I think it's because it's a cheap one and it doesn't really work at all, really. But one of the things I did that I really enjoyed is I did a Lehman Russ, and I had to go at sponge chipping for the first time, and it was so much fun. Like it's one of those that it sounds silly, but low effort, high result sort of things. Like I did it and went, oh, this probably isn't going to look great. Did a couple, went, oh, this looks great. This is wonderful. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. See, even that sort of stuff. Sponges isn't something I've really had a go on, but it looks like such an easy, quick way of doing things.
Yeah.
And scam people aside trying to sell you grab-on pens with sponges on them. It's a cheap thing to use, because we all go out and spend silly money on brushes and all the other equipment. But if you can go to Flying Tiger, I think, sell like the little packs on sticks for like £2 or £3 a go. And that in itself is nice and easy. However, if you did want good quality sable brushes at a very, very low price line, check out our sponsors, Orange Brushes. There we go. The man's got them. We know what we're doing. Use code Inquisition at checkout and you get 10% off your total bill. Wow.
You do. I can attest to that because I do that every time I buy brushes.
And I hope you use our code. And if you don't, you're never coming back on.
Every time, because I am also a tight ass.
Good man.
And if you're in the UK, it's free shipping as well.
Yeah, it's very important to remember that free ship. They will ship anywhere, but you have to tell them first.
Yeah, because they need to know. The people need to know.
Well, on that, I did the test model for the Custodes, and I was like, okay, so I can just dry brush most of this, and this will look good. Then immediately went and bought new dry brushes from Orange to do the whole army, and the one I've used the most now looks like this, so it's done me well.
Well, if you ever need a new one, you know the people to give you a code.
As much as it looks green, it's pretty much as soft as the day I bought it, so take that as a winning endorsement.
Perfect. That's the endorsement we need, and the endorsement they love.
There you go. Make that into a short reel and put it on.
Yeah, don't worry. We're always gonna think that we should get a collection of all of the ones that we've done and just slam them together in one big video.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll do that. I think I'll do that when we're off in July, just to keep the channel going. Do you know what I mean?
Here's one big fucking advert. Off we go.
Yeah. So, have you changed what paints you're using? Are you still using Citadel, or depending what kind of model you're painting, depends on the colour and the brand that you're using?
To a point. I found that through doing commissions, I've started using a lot more contrast paint, which has been an interesting one. But again, that's been interesting. I did do a little bit of a stint and tried some of the paints from TT Combat. They were okay, a bit thick, so got on well with me. But I do really like at the minute the Pro Acryl paints from Monument Hobbies. Like, their white is the best white out there, I would say. It's so good. And then because of that, I picked up their bronze to try on the Custodes, and I've bought another 3 bottles of it to make sure I've got enough.
I'm actually crushing right hard on AK paints just now. I do love, what do you call them? Green Stuff Worlds. I do love their white. Their nuclear white for me is amazing. But I do like AK paints. I bought a few of them recently, and I'm starting to look at buying more and more. Like, I bought their black, the 3rd gen black, and that is absolutely dynamite. I bought a good few other colours, but yeah, I mean, I feel as though I'm kind of weaning myself off Citadel now and just trying different paints as well. But I've not tried the Monument paints yet.
They're really good. So I went through a phase of, as you normally do, like you start with the GW paints and then you go, oh, I can get them from other places like Vallejo or Army Painter, and it's more paint and cheaper, so I'll do that. I've tried a couple of the AK ones. So back in, I want to say it was October, the shop Traveling Man did a competition where you bought a box. It came with a model, 4 paints, and some basing bits.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I got an Age of Sigmar Orc, and in there was one of the AK paints. It was really good. I then used it to paint all the green helmets on the Russian army that I did for the commission. So, because it was a really good paint, it paints nicely, it thins down all right. I've just not then thought to go back and get more, because my brain is like a sieve with a hole in it.
Do you find that your customers are picky about what paints they want to use? Because, again, talking to Siege Scenic Studios, your man about it, your man, that he said that he's happy to paint him and whatever. But imagine if, as a customer, you got 1 or 2 things and you like the look of them, and then you want to commission a paint. Would you are you happy for someone to say, I want it painted using these colours, these specific brands, or do you just sort of say, I'm using this stuff, if you don't want it, off your fuck?
I've not really come across that as an issue, to be honest. So normally, if I talk to a customer about having a commission, I'll go through with them my rough pricing structure, and then how they want it painted, like what sort of style, what scheme. Do they want it like really grubby? Do they want it really clean looking? And from that, I'll normally paint a test model. Like the Guard commission, I painted 1 Cadian, 2 full, done. Sent the guy the pictures and was like, here's the complete process of how I painted it. What do you think? And he was like, this is great. Carry on. So I've not had any issues. The Necron one, I did the same thing. And they were like, not so sure about this color. What do you think? Could you try something else? So in those situations, I've been left sort of to my own devices about it. But if someone were to be like, oh, I want you to only use the Duncan Rhodes paints and these 4 colors, then yeah, I'll give it a go.
Okay.
But I would probably, if I don't have those paints, I'd probably discuss it with them and be like, look, I've got to buy these paints in because I've not got them. Do you mind chucking me an extra tenner to cover the paints? And more often than not, I imagine I'd get a, yeah, sure.
Or you do the old-fashioned thing with a restaurant where have I got a filter on? Jesus Christ, I think I've got a filter on.
Yeah, you have been not on face for a little bit.
Your camera's spinning. It did this to me the other week I was on, that I couldn't see you, but I can hear you, and that's right.
I look as though I've been fucking attacked with Botox and makeup, to be honest with you. I look actually quite good for a change. Anyway.
If there's any consolation, that's not coming through this end.
Yeah, it's just you.
Thanks very much for joining us, Ed. Next week we have... what was I going to say now? Oh, I can't mind. Aye.
You Botox, you fucked it. You've brain farted proper here, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay. We are professional, if you've tuned in for the first time. But no, again, just going back to like what I was saying, that some people I can imagine could be quite picky with what they want out of their hobby to look like. And I suppose as the commissioned artist, you've got to sit there and figure out, okay, this is this is what you want, but this is what I can do. And go on then, Mystic Gem, show us something you've painted. Get your minis out, Ed. Go on.
Really?
Get your minis out for the lasses.
Literally just there. So give me a second to go get my stuff.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fine. Because this is what this is all about on this show. We help promote all the artists coming up and everything. You got something to show? Show it. Why not? Thank you for getting involved in the comments there and helping us out. We appreciate it.
You've got a fan there with Emerald Knight 75 as well, Casey, with your Bayern Oktoberfest shirt.
Yes. Don't tell the missus how much this
football. I'm just going to check out.
I have got. I don't know if you can see this on the back properly. Best player in Germany at the moment on the back.
Michael Schumacher.
No, isn't he a vegetable still?
Oh, he's not German, is he? Shit.
No, it's Michael Elise. But I swear Michael Schumacher's still fucked up.
Yeah, isn't he supposed to be on like a coma or something?
Yeah, he came down that mountain and messed himself up, and then I don't know if he's like out of bed. This man's a hero anyway. He always like F1 as a kid. He'd always win. You'd get bored of it after a while, but you'd hope he'd crash. Yeah. Right. Anyway, show us your mini.
Okay. So let me see if I can get some light. That's better. That's a. Oh god,
Ooh,
that's awful.
fancy light.
Believe it or not, that is what, 20 quid on Amazon.
Oh,
It's got a fully adjustable arm and everything like that, so that's nice. Okay, if I do, that's better. I don't look like a ghost now. So I did a. Let me see if I can get that
yeah,
right.
very good. Yeah. Cool.
Did a Trajan for the Custodes because it's the main man. You can't not.
Yeah, need characters.
Oh yeah. So that was quite a fun one to do.
I like that you went with the green on it rather than the red, because everyone goes red, don't they? And it's just a bit.
Yeah. So I was originally, because as we said last time, I've done Custodes before, and because I lamented killing them because I'm an idiot, I was going to go back and do the same color scheme and do the black, the gold, and the red. And then was like, well, I've already done that. I want to do something different. So then I was going to go for the other one, which is gold and purple. And then remembered about 4 other people I play with who play Custodes have painted them the same color. So then went, okay, green? Gave it a go, and it came out really well.
Yeah.
That is my Blade Champion. Which looks super
Now,
nice.
now Gem's demanding to see the pretty bases.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's coming through super well, but I did marble bases on them.
Very nice. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just about see it. You're grand.
Yeah.
We'll
So
share get some pictures up and we'll share it all for you.
Yeah, because I've been painting it so vigorously for the last 4 weeks, I've not taken any pictures of anything. But the marble bases is actually, again, really easy to do. I feel like I've cheated with this army completely because, like I said, I've turned it around in 4.5 weeks, and if I'm honest, I think it looks great.
Are you a type 1 diabetic by chance?
Did that give it away by any chance? Yeah, I am.
How long have you been, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been diabetic for?
Where are we? We're in June, so 22 years.
And how is all your life?
We're in June. Back off.
That was very good.
Like
Because I watched a documentary on this, right? I'm going to go way off topic here, right? I watched a documentary on this on Channel 4 years and years ago. My wife's a type 1 diabetic. She's got the patch as well. She uses Dexcom, which is fucking shit sometimes. But
Guarantee it's not as bad as the Libra, which I have.
How did you cope with when you're in your teenage years with injections and like testing your sugar levels? Did you rebel? Because when the documentary I watched, a lot of kids rebelled and were drinking full sugar juice and doing what they wanted, but they don't understand the long-term effects on their bodies because diabetes, I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs, Ed, because you know, is a debilitating long-term disease. It's not going to get any better. So how was your teenage years with it?
Good until it wasn't, basically. So another little bit of background. Back in May, I was diagnosed with ADHD, which explains a lot of things. As it turns out, through my teenage years, my diabetic control was really good until I went to college, and then it was left to me to sort, and then it sort of went down the shitter, which, now having that diagnosis, makes a lot of sense. The other problem I have is I have a ferocious sweet tooth, which as a diabetic is like intolerant and craving cheese. It's awful. So that's always a fun one to balance.
Yeah, my wife says that the biggest thing that she misses since, because she's been diabetic since she was 25, is...
It's been about a year then.
Yeah. 2 weeks for the 26th year in a row. No, she's not old. With Frosties. She really misses Frosties.
Yeah. See, my favourite cereal is the Curiously cinnamon, so I can fully say that I eat far too much sugary stuff.
See, that does actually bring us nicely to an argument we were having the other day, Doug, and I'll bring this up now because I feel it's worth something that it's worth discussing on the Inquisition because we like chatting shit. I have some frosted shreddies. Haven't had them for years. Straight away when I said frosted shreddies are a great cereal to him, he was like, "You're an arsehole." And we had a bit of a disagreement.
The reason being, right, is that shreddies are just fucking cardboard with sugar on them. It's like bran flakes, Weetabix, and don't even get me started about sugar puffs because they are the worst.
Okay, I'll agree with you on the sugar puffs. I'm not keen on them. However, you are also talking to the person who was, when he was young, he used to enjoy frosted shredded wheat. So, yeah.
I haven't seen them for years.
Yeah, they were great. I love them. Frosted shreddies are great. I just don't eat them very often because I really probably shouldn't.
What is your cereal of choice? Was it be that seriously cinnamon one that you just mentioned, or would you think actually, you know what, anything in the supermarket, I could just grab it and not worry about my diabetes?
Top tier for me. Just below that is either the mini Weetabix with chocolate chips in them, or Crunchy Nut cornflakes.
See, we can all agree on Crunchy Nut cornflakes.
So good.
I think even Dunk said that that's in his top 5. But
even better if you get the ones that I don't think you can get anymore, that are like the clusters with the bits of dark chocolate in them. So good.
Never had them. I should have done. But it is the horrible peep show line that really honey nut cornflakes are just Frosties for wankers.
I mean, it's not. They are. You say Crunchy Nut cornflake to someone, you sound like a pretentious wanker. So I get that.
You do, yeah. But they are good. That's the thing.
Very good.
Shout on the mini Weetabix. I don't know what. And there you go. See, now we've got everyone in the chat going for it. That's brilliant. I love it. And this is why we ask random bullshit. It's a good old conversation to have.
Absolutely.
Right, I'm going to mention a cereal here, right, that I guarantee you that everybody's forgotten. And when I mentioned it to fucking Casey, he was like, yeah, they were top tier. Ricicles, they were top tier. Captain Rick was the advert. The best thing in the fucking variety pack was a packet of Ricicles.
You only ever get one pack in there.
Yeah, you only ever
get makes you feel vindicated. It makes you feel vindicated. When I was younger, I had one of those like kids cereal bowls that was a Ricicle cereal bowl.
Man. Yes, that's
Captain Rick was top tier.
They need to bring them bowls back. Like that was always part of the fun of having cereal as a kid, was you'd get them bowls.
Yeah, with like the embossed letters on the outside.
Yeah, no, they were quality. And I actually went on eBay years ago. I found an old one that my dad had when I was young and bought it for him. And he looked at me and was like, "This is my Father's Day present." I went, "Yeah." He went, "You're an arsehole," and walked on.
How much did that set you back though, as well?
It's only a couple of quid. It was eBay. It probably hadn't been washed for like 5 years. But
that's one of those where it's either going to be like £2 or 600.
Here you go, Dunk. This is one for you from Daka Dick in the chat. Didn't they have banana flavoured Ricicles at one point? I can't remember that.
I don't think they made it to Scotland. If they did, it's like everything else. It kind of just stays down south. The good weather.
Shouldn't have made it to England. That sounds awful.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of banana flavoured stuff. I know Dunk likes a banana.
Me neither.
The only thing I like that's flavoured banana is a banana, to be honest with you. Even like the banana sweets you would get, they were rank.
No, you know what? Apparently the banana foam sweets and chemical banana taste is a type of banana that did once exist and now is extinct. I don't know if it's true or not. Mate told me that.
Absolutely true. I learned that at college. I did a lot of chemistry at college. We did an experiment to make that chemical, and yeah, it's absolutely true.
Oh, I've had.
You'd always get the banana sweets beside the shrimp sweets that never tasted a shrimp.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Why would you want to eat a fish flavoured sweet? Come on.
I wouldn't even say banana milkshake's good. Banana milkshake's pretty rank.
Banana milkshake is awful.
You know
The
what?
smell of it genuinely makes me retch.
I will agree with you on that. But the other day I went to McDonald's and I had a chocolate milkshake and they didn't change the thing over properly. And
So
I
it's
had
got
a
a bit of
bit
the
of
banana.
banana in it. And you know what? It wasn't bad. Just a little bit of banana, no, not like loads. Just that tiny hint.
See, I'm really boring. If I go to McDonald's to get a milkshake, it has to be vanilla.
You're not allowed a
Chocolate.
milkshake. Your toes are going to fall off by the time you're 35 if you drink milkshakes.
So it's funny you say that. One of the first jobs I ever had was working in like a Greasy Spoon cafe on a Saturday, and I convinced someone that I worked with that if I ate too much cake, my foot would explode. Which was then great when they then turned the corner and saw me taking a massive bite out of a lemon drizzle cake, and I watched the color drain from their face.
We used to tell a mate of mine who passed away, he had diabetes as a side effect of the illnesses he had. And he always just, you go out to certain places with him. He had type 2, but he just put his little insulin pen out. He's like, just fucking do it. Yeah! Just stab himself and just go on a rampage. But his hangovers were always bad. And it wasn't because of the alcohol. It was because he'd choose Coke as his mixer. And the next day he was just constantly vomiting. It was horrendous and it stank, but it was hilarious as well.
Coke is good to bring up a hypo though, and people will give you a Coke. That is good.
Oh, he'd always have his stuff with him, and he would always, he'd know when he was going downhill a bit. The little fucker at a wedding once was having a hypo, and it was a really good mate of ours' wedding. So like loads of my family were there, loads of other people's families were there, and he's sitting there, and he'd always have a thing that he'd want a milkshake or a Nesquik, and that's how he could tell he was having a hypo. And he's managed to convince a mate of ours to go across and buy him a McFlurry, and he's sitting there. My mum's holding his hand to make sure he's all right, and he's stopped there. He's doing this sickness thing. He's like, I'm so unwell. My mum's holding his hand and rubbing his shoulders, and he's looked at me. He's gone, prick. It's like, ooh, you bastard. So if you can pull a hypo to have it, get yourself a bonus situation, fair play to you. But it's not, I suppose, death's door, is it worth the risk?
Well, depends on what you're risking, I guess.
Yeah.
You want to take that shot at some point, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know your missus is in the chat, Ed, so she's going to be on top of you now. She's going to be monitoring every time you're having a hypo and be like, you fucker, are you faking this?
Me dribbling in the corner, be like, no, I don't think so.
Good old hypos. I think my wife was punching me the other night there because she was hypoing and I was sleeping and I wasn't helping her. But she's got those hit drinks now that she takes. It's like glucose in them and it's like a kind of drop.
What, like a Lucozade?
No, it's actually a wee shot. It's about that big, and it's just like pure glucose. And then she goes and then she got up and treat the hypo. But yeah, she's always got fruit pastilles on them when she goes out running.
Nice.
Is that just a rip and bang it in your mouth sort of job?
Glucose.
Yep.
Pen.
It's just glucose gel, and it's forest fruit flavored.
Oh, see, that's what you got to like, that they flavour it for you, and it's not just.
Yeah. Like when I was first diagnosed, because like I said, I was diagnosed like 22 years ago. The stuff that was around was horrible.
Yeah.
But now it's great. There's all sorts.
Get diabetes. It's great. You get free flavoured stuff.
Keeps you thin.
That's going to be what we take away from this episode, and that's going to be the real. So
this is what she uses. This is what she gets from the pharmacist. Lift drinks.
Oh, lift.
Yeah.
Heard of that? Is it with a Y?
No, LIFT, fast acting glucose shot.
Well,
I'll have to look into that.
Can you mix it with vodka?
You can mix anything with vodka.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Even banana milk.
Yeah, you get.
Milkshake if you were that perverted.
The worst combination in the world. Drink this. So I'm trying to rack my brains. When we had you on last time, when we went off topic, we obviously talked about various other things. With obviously all the different interests that you've got and everything, and obviously you commission painting, sleeping in. Have you found time for anything else whatsoever?
Not really, because I tend to hyperfixate on my hobbies. So I used to play Magic the Gathering a bunch. That's very much fallen by the wayside with painting. I suppose the only other part of the thing I do is not only do I paint, I play as well. So I guess that's the interesting thing about like Warhammer and mini painting as a thing. It's like 4 hobbies in one. Because like you've got the painting, you've got the gaming, you've got like the lore and the reading side of it. It's like a multi-hobby, as it were.
That's a fair way of thinking it. I've never
If you find the time, I will sit and play Space Marine 2.
Can I just go back a wee bit here, right? So, how's obviously anybody who does Warhammer like we do is definitely ADHD. We don't need to give people tests for that. If you're going to happily sit in a room and paint tiny fucking soldiers for hours on end and then chuck dice at people for hours on end, you're definitely on the spectrum. But since your diagnosis, how has your life changed for the positive or the negative since you've had your diagnosis?
It's a good question. I very much do agree with the if you do Warhammer, you've definitely got something. Like if you can name more than 4 Space Marine chapters, you have ADHD. It's that simple. Or autism, the spectrum somewhere. You've got a spicy brain. Let's put it that way. Since having the diagnosis, a lot of the things I do have started making more sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful sentence. I appreciate. So like the way I do things, the fact that I leave everything to the last minute, for example, and then we'll spend 6 hours the night before panicking and doing the thing I should have done 3 weeks ago. That's been with me most of my life. That's how I got through college. So that sort of thing. Not massively had a hugely negative side of things. Like I said, it's just sort of made me understand things a bit more. To be completely honest, I'm currently on a waiting list to go for a doctor's appointment to try medication for it. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it means that I don't keep forgetting stuff, but we'll see.
Lewis Fenley just says, so autism 40,000 you could say. Now that depends. I think that's more of a sexual transmitted disease, autism, but if that's what you have, Lewis, that's what you have.
I hope not, because Lewis is the guys that I work with, so...
But yeah, like I was gonna wait a minute. Isa, get out that bag.
Say again?
I've just got my dog in my wife's handbag, right? And I said to her, Isa, stop, get out that bag. And she's actually stopped and side-eyed me as though, is he talking to me? She knows I'm talking to her. Anyway, I've now lost what I was going to say.
This is going so well today.
Oh yeah, like yeah, I was in the middle of getting diagnosed for ADHD or ADD because my wife's convinced that I have it. But they wanted me to go to counselling, and I was like, no, I don't want to open that can of worms. So I kind of just self-diagnosed myself, and yeah, I'm not going through any more of that nonsense.
Well, if it helps at all, they say that people with like ADHD, autism, that sort of brain, tend to congregate together in groups. So I've got it. You've probably got it. Sorry.
Probably. I've got something, and it's not just being a dickhead. I know I've got something.
Undiagnosed, but pretty sure.
I think it's a beautiful thing, though, isn't it? That we, in our own little way, this is what makes us us. You know. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, yeah, like you say, I forget things all the time. I could be told something 5 minutes ago and forget it straight away. But it's just the way our minds tick, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different way of doing it.
Well, you forget the Inquisition's on every Wednesday at 7:30. So.
Yeah, I'll have to wear that one. I'll take that on the chin. Fair enough. I do forget. And then I log on 10 minutes late, like, fuck.
in though? Did you get many? Hey, there we go. Uh, so, is there anything that you're looking forward to coming out? Like, are you looking for hopefully some new Custodes characters or anything like that coming out that you're hoping for?
Yeah, lots, to be honest. The easiest one to talk about, because it'll be the shortest and then I can go on to the longer one. I'm really intrigued by the new Chaos Knight that's coming out at the weekend. Like, Knights have never really been something that have been like, oh my god, I need to paint this. But that new one, I saw it and went, oh, I need to paint one of those.
Help me out with this, right? Because like,
Go
I
on.
grew up in the 90s, and any Japanese cartoon that you'd watch back then would always have a huge bloody robot in it, right? And I can respect Dreadnoughts. Part of me respects the Tau because that's their aesthetic. I respect some of the Eldar dead things and stuff like that.
Nah.
And every faction's got their own ones. I can't get on board with Knights, and I don't know why.
I have an instant pitch for you.
Good. That's what I was aiming to ask you. Go on, then. What is your pitch?
Go and watch Pacific Rim.
You know what? I never have, and I should do. It's a film you thought I would.
That was all you Knights. The idea of watching that and then going, well, my Knight's basically one of the big robots, and that big Tyranid over there is basically a kaiju. Done. Knights sold.
And are we saying? I know there's been two films. One, did they both have Idris Elba in it, or is it just one of them?
I don't know. I've only seen the first one because apparently the second one is awful.
That was the one with John Boyega in it. The second one. Yeah.
I've never seen a Pacific Rim film. I might actually do that tomorrow when I'm working.
It's so good. It's also, there you go, there's another nerdy aspect of me. I love watching films. Because it's filmed by the director Guillermo del Toro, who also did Hellboy, it's a very aesthetically pleasing film to watch as well.
Yeah. I know he's got a new one coming out. It's Frankenstein he's got coming out. See that on Netflix thing.
Very keen to watch that.
But do you shove films on when you're painting in the background as noise?
No, I tend to listen to podcasts or watch YouTube, to be honest. Yeah, just because I tend to. It's easier to focus on painting when it's an audio thing as opposed to a visual thing. So, like, yeah, I'll sit and put YouTube on, but I'll be listening more than watching. I did try doing that before and ended up either painting and missing the film, or just sit watching the film and then go, shit, it's been 2 hours, I've painted nothing.
See, I always shove if I put a film on when I'm painting, it's always something I've watched before, so I don't have to pay too much attention to it.
See, I've heard people say that before, and I tried doing that. I put on Rogue One because I will go out there and make this claim on the internet. Probably the best Star Wars film.
Yes.
But I then just was like, I love this film, and just sat and watched it.
So that leads me nicely on, because Dunk's been on me recently because I hadn't watched Series 2 of Andor. I've done it.
Because I haven't either.
What?
Cool, that's fine for me. I'll take this off the line with you, Dunk, but that's fine. I did actually go back and watch Rogue One after finishing all of Andor, so it was, yeah. It was emotional.
I watched the first season about a year after it came out because I completely forgot it existed. Loved it, and I was like, gonna watch season 2. I got Disney Plus on my phone. I can download the episodes. I can watch it on my break at work, and then I forgot that it came out until you just mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
on it.
Yeah, like Rogue One for me is probably the second best Star Wars film. Maybe it ties with Revenge of the Sith for me. My favourite Star Wars film is obviously Empire Strikes Back because that's the generation I grew up on. But
see, we are very much the same then, because Empire is my second favourite and was my favourite until I watched Rogue One. And Revenge of the Sith has a very special place in my heart because it was the first film I ever saw at the cinema.
Oh.
so
then when it came out earlier this year, I went to go and see it again. I love that film. However, the internet has ruined my brain because I didn't realize how much of that film has become memes. It's like every other line.
Yeah, every 2 minutes is a new one.
I was watching a YouTube thing with Sam Witwer, who does the voice of Darth Maul in the Clone Wars cartoons, and somebody asked him, what would be, if you have children, what would be the order that you show your children Star Wars in? And his way of saying it was brilliant, because me and my pal were talking about it when I was over in Scotland 2 weeks ago. Now, what he said is that he would get his kids to watch the Clone Wars, not all of it, but a lot of it. And then he would get the kids to watch episodes 1 and 2, because you're going for Anakin. And then you would watch episode 4, A New Hope, because there's the line of, oh, a young Jedi called Darth Vader killed your father. So then the kids are gunning for Darth Vader. And then you would show them I think it's then you show them Empire Strikes Back, and then you show them Revenge of the Sith, because then their mind blows. It's like, oh my god, easy. But
see, as much
convoluted as shit.
My brain a little bit to follow. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's really good, because
because the kids are championing wanting to know, like, who killed Anakin, and then when that reveal is, no, I am your father, he says that their tiny little minds will explode, because fuck, Anakin's Darth Vader, because they've watched them all through the Clone Wars and watched them in the first 2 episodes.
Did you two watch the first season of Ahsoka then as well?
I am Star Wars through and through. Like, I've got a Star Wars tattoo. Like, nobody really knows what that is, but I've got a Star Wars tattoo, which is the Empire of the Black Sun symbol. Because
I do know what that is.
Sorry?
Because I do know what that is. So when I was a kid, Star Wars was my entire life.
Yep.
So I should have probably figured out I had something going on brain-wise, because every weekend I would watch A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and The Phantom Menace every weekend for about 2 years.
A good way to spend your weekends, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was great, because, over a Saturday and a Sunday, that fills up both days pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, I do know what that is, and that's a very cool tattoo. The first tattoo I wanted to get, actually, was Boba Fett's, sigil.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is, the creature is, but that, skull with the horns.
You know what it's called, and I've forgotten it. That's going to annoy me.
Same.
If you know in the chat, say. But I thought about that. On the shoulder would have been a good place for that.
I was thinking literally there.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, this is a good one to segue into then. How have you found, I know obviously, and we'll forget Andor Series 2, how have you found all the recent Star Wars series have been?
That's a good question. So I loved Clone Wars. So good. I loved Rebels. Rebels was really good. So then when they announced in Ahsoka that they were doing Thrawn, I was like, this is going to be incredible. And I enjoyed Ahsoka. There were points of it where, from the other side of my brain, it looked beautiful. There were genuinely some really stunning shots. I really enjoyed parts of it. Parts of it I sort of about, to be honest. Andor Season 1 was great. Mandalorian I have a sort of love-hate relationship with. So the first season when it came out, I watched as it came out, and I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to Star Wars. This is incredible. I watched Season 2 and was like, this is still really good, but it's kind of more of the same. And then watched Book of Boba Fett. I was like, I can see where they're going with this. Not really for me. And then I've not watched Season 3 of The Mandalorian because, again, I have a brain like a sieve with a hole in it and forgot. So on the whole, I liked it. So, but there's little bits here and there that I'm like, this is fine. I can take it or leave it.
Yeah. Did you do what's the one that everyone was ranting, or you either loved or hated? It was the Marmite one, the Acolyte. Is that it?
Oh, yeah. So I watched the first episode of that and went, oh, this could be interesting. Did what I normally do, forget, and then it got cancelled. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to it.
Right. So this is my beef with the Acolyte, right? It tries to rewrite Anakin's story, right? Because it had a really good idea for me. It was a great idea, and the way I thought it was going to be was we're going to get a story from the dark side, from the Sith, and we've got a young acolyte, which is it's set before, I think it's 100 years before the Phantom Menace, so 132 years before A New Hope. But the lightsaber battles in it are absolutely dynamite. I would ignore the witchy stuff, right? There's a lot of witchy stuff, right? Which is so annoying because they should have just concentrated on the lassie, uh, who her master was, and the fights then after it, because the lightsaber fights are epic in it, and they tried to shortcut a few things with lore, because at one point we do see a kyber crystal being bled, which nearly killed Darth Vader, and he tried to do it 4 or 5 times, and this lassie does it like right away. But they have Kurtosis in it, which is mentioned which was in Legends, and it's now with canon now, which is a type of metal that will short circuit a lightsaber. So there's a bunch of Jedi. Basically, there's a bunch of redcoats, right? Go down with the main characters, and they come up across this Sith Lord. You actually find out who the Sith Lord is, and they go to hit the person, and he headbutts their lightsaber, and it turns the lightsaber off, and they don't know what happens, and he just dices them all. It's absolutely fucking brilliant. The lightsaber fights are really good in it, really, really good. I think it might have, on balance, it might have deserved a second season just to see where the story went. But it's like Ahsoka. I thought Ahsoka was brilliant. I thought Skull was a great character, one of the best original characters. He was just an angry Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's like Obi-Wan Kenobi that get exiled, but he went dark, which I loved, because that first line that he does, "I'm no Jedi," was
that's
brilliant.
That's a really good way of describing his character, actually, like a dark Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He basically was, because he had that regalness about him, and he was very skilled with the lightsaber. You've seen that, and even him changing the weight of his lightsaber when he was fighting Ahsoka,
Just going back to the Acolyte a second, I've seen a couple of the scenes of the fight. I've seen that one where you say about where he headbutts the lightsaber. I agree, it's incredible. However, have either of you seen the TV series The Good Place?
No.
Mrs. watched it, and I know of it.
Okay, so there's a character in that who I think his name is Jason, who is like the dumbest, dopiest Florida guy ever. It's the same actor that plays the Sith in The Acolyte, and I don't know that I could divorce the two in my head.
Oh, you can.
It's always trouble, isn't it?
He is really good in it, because he has some Star Wars humor in it, and the way he moves and the way he fights is just brilliant for me.
Fair enough.
That was part of the problem with.
Did you watch Star Wars Visions?
Yes.
Was that the What If?
Yeah, the one that's like animated different with each episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to Yaddle? Because we found out what happened to Yaddle, which I was very late coming to watching the Star Wars, like the short animated season. So I was really surprised when fucking Dooku killed Yaddle. I was gutted.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock.
Oh, is that I think I watched the first series of that, where it had like the first episode was the whole weird Ninja Scroll sort of
so that's
animated thing.
Visions. What Dunk's on about is Tales of the Jedi, which is a different series. I really liked Visions. I say I really like Visions. I really liked the first episode with the guys that were like samurais.
Yeah.
The rest of it I was very take or leave, but that episode was amazing. I think it probably helped that I watched it at 3 o'clock on a coach journey back from somewhere, but it's so good.
I think it's interesting when you've got a couple of people who know Star Wars who get together, because we could just do a podcast on that, I think, the three of us.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And it's something that I know for definite, Dev's There's been very, very good Star Wars stuff. There's been some decent bits, and there's times they've proper shit the bed. And I would say that not just the films, because we all know about films, but with the series as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting that the ones that have done well because they've sort of stuck a little bit close to the original three films. I don't know if you agree with this, Doc, or not as well. Like, and or especially because the way Rogue One works, it's got something to work into. Ahsoka for me worked because Clone Wars, Rebels, it's the continuation of her story and stuff. And I didn't know much about that character. I was telling Dunk, I was watching Rebels at the same time that was on to try and get an understanding of it, and ended up really, really liking both shows. But it's the ones where it doesn't feel like it fits anywhere. Like Book of Boba Fett, I know Dunk said it's been disappointing. I'll sort of agree with it. It's not what it could have been. But essentially, it had nothing to work off. It was like, yeah, we all know how he gets out of the Sarlacc pit, but what then? And they didn't know really where to take the character, I think.
No, they sort of tried to do kind of like a small town detective show with it, but missed the mark completely, and it just sort of exists, and that's it. Apart from the one episode that is basically just the season 2.5 of The Mandalorian.
That felt really unnecessary.
But I'm a massive Boba Fett fan. I mean, as a kid, he was my favourite character as a kid. He only has 3 lines in the fucking films, and I was so disappointed in the Book of Mandalorian, but I seen it after the first episode. I was like, oh, this is going to be shit, because there's nothing much they could do, and it's kind of like Kenobi, because I thought Kenobi was terrible. It was a waste of a character. For me, what they should have done is just kept Kenobi on Tatooine, and the way I would have wrapped that up, and it would have tied in so nicely with episode 4, was Luke gets kidnapped and Ben saves him, but when Ben takes him back to Uncle Owen, that's when Uncle Owen tells him not to come back, and that's when he starts telling Luke that he's just a crazy old man. He thinks he died, and that sort of stuff, because that would have paid in the whole narrative, because Princess Leia can't remember watching Uncle Obi-Wan went and rescued her when she was kidnapped. It was I would never have had I would have had him being hunted by Inquisitors, which would have been good, but I wouldn't have brought Darth Vader into it either. I thought you could have did enough with Tatooine, with the Sand People and Krayt Dragons and all that nonsense, that you could have built it up there with Luke gets kidnapped and he goes and rescues him, and then Uncle Owen excommunicates him. That's how I felt it should have been done.
That makes a lot of sense. And to be fair, Kenobi was sort of an on-again, off-again show for me. There's bits of it I really liked, there's bits of it I couldn't really care for. The Inquisitors in live action was awesome to see, especially because at the time when that came out, I started playing Jedi Outcast, so I was for it. And the fights between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader look incredible and are cool as hell. But if you think about it a little bit, it then sort of robs a little bit from the fight they have in the middle of A New Hope.
Yeah.
Because that conversation they have makes it seem like they've not seen each other since Anakin became Darth Vader. Yeah. Whereas you think, but then you fought 3 times 5 years ago. What do you mean you've not seen each other?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So it's cool. It looks amazing, but it does kind of take away from it a little bit.
Because you could have also tied in, which I think would have been brilliant to see on the big screen. You could have tied in Darth Maul.
I knew you were going to say that. Yes.
I mean, if you had that in live action, with that, even though it's probably one of the best lightsaber fights, even though it only lasts a split second.
The one in Rebels.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
So good.
And again, it felt like an old samurai thing, didn't it? It was like an old classic. And 2 men standing each other down, bang, bang.
And see the way Sam Witwer describes that, because I think he was part and parcel of them designing that, where they said that if you watch that fight again, Obi-Wan stands how he stood in The Phantom Menace, But
Yes.
Darth Maul also stands, but he changes stance, and Darth Maul doesn't. So he knows that Darth Maul hasn't
changed at all.
And that's how he beat him so easily.
Mm.
So Sam Witwer is my favorite guy involved with Star Wars. Like, that man knows more than anyone should about Star Wars, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
A good chunk of that is because when I was a kid, I played a lot of Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2 on the PlayStation. God, I wish they bring that character in.
Yeah. That was a wicked game, right? I loved the first one. First one was amazing. The second one went mental, but
yeah, it did.
Story, like the whole game was, to me, was sold on that Star Destroyer sequence, because you see that in the adverts and you're like, that's pretty sick. And then when you get to do it again,
have you heard the interview he did where what got him that role?
Oh,
so he goes in, and he goes in and auditions for Starkiller, and like they ask him to act out him making his lightsaber using the Force, and every time he does it, he like screws his face up, looking really angry, and like, what the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be like meditating and be calm. He's like, he wouldn't do that. They're like, what do you mean he wouldn't do that? He's like, Darth Vader's the one that taught him how to build his lightsaber. He doesn't know the word calm. That dude is not a calm guy.
Yeah.
Like, he would teach him how to do it using his anger and hatred. And they just, like, apparently the director and the other guy looked at him and went, yeah, we're taking you on.
Yeah. But that's quality, that even that, like, how many people have just come in and sat down and just done nothing? You're like, why?
Yeah.
You know, and it's little bits as well. Like, I know he's been involved with the writing side of it, of like Rebels and everything, that he would sit down and Filoni would proper go with it. Like, this is what we want for Darth Maul. What do you think? And it's what you want to hear when you've got people who love the galaxy that they're helping to build, that they're part of it, and they're not just an actor. They're not just someone on the side. Like, I think it was who was one of the writers? Wasn't Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Sarah Michelle Gellar pops up as one of the Inquisitors. But even that, like,
that's right.
I know. Sorry, I missed you.
Yeah. No, I forgot about that. But yeah, no, it was Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, and I think he's a big old nerd, because at one point he was writing wrestling storylines for the WWF.
No way.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. So, you know, it's when you've got people who know what they like and get taken on board to help a project, and going back to like the things that seem to have missed with the TV shows, I think that's probably been part of the problem. That it is just.
I think as well and I think the reason why season 2 of Andor did so well is because Kathleen Kennedy had very little input into Andor season 2. Because she had very little input in Rebels and the Clone Wars, because it was still George Lucas's thing, and I think that's where it comes down to as well. But see, just in Ahsoka, I'm really interested to see, because we all know that the guy that plays the Hound in Game of Thrones is going to be Bernard Skull.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, are they going to do a kind of transformation of him turning into the son of the Force? Because there's 3 things in the Force. There's the son, the father, and the daughter. And from what me and my mate have been talking about back and forth, our theory is that Anakin is the father, Ahsoka's the daughter, and Bernard Skull's going to be the brother or the son of the Force.
That makes a lot of sense, because I'm pretty sure it's in the Clone Wars, isn't it, where they meet father, the son, and the daughter, and they tried to get Anakin to take over as the father, don't they? Yeah.
So I think to kind of justify the character, the actor changing, I think to do a kind of metamorphosis into him becoming the son would probably make sense.
Well, like some sort of Doctor Who thing.
My only issue with that is that sounds incredible. However, you're then going to have to balance that with the Thrawn storyline and do 2 really good stories in one.
Yeah.
I don't know how well they're going to balance it.
Well, I don't know either, but that's my wish. That is my wish. What would happen going forward? But I think the less Kathleen Kennedy does, I think the better it is for everybody.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
She's out now, isn't she? She's retired, I think, or she's
No,
going to retire soon.
She's still getting some executive producer credits, but I think at some point she'll say bye-bye.
At which point, surely either Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni's taking that spot.
You'd expect it to be Filoni. You'd hope it to be Filoni because he's the. Let's face it, he's the second coming of Lucas.
Well, yeah, because he trained under George Lucas.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally the second coming of George Lucas.
Yeah, I mean,
well, it's Disney.
You would think it would be Filoni, Favreau, and Whitwer for me.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible.
Give them creative control because Whitwer knows the law and Favreau knows the university. He's been in it for so long and written stuff. And Filoni's just fucking George Lucas cloned. I'm pretty sure George Lucas cloned himself as fucking Filoni.
I'll take that if they release the Force Unleashed remastered.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting that anytime soon, unfortunately. The games seem... This is the one thing that's really annoyed me about the gaming side since Disney took over Star Wars, is it's really gotten shit.
Yeah.
Like...
Yes, but also Jedi Survivor was incredible.
I'm going out and saying I have not played the new Jedi games.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah. I've not been able to bring myself to it.
They are the closest thing I have found to The Force Unleashed. Like, they get that feel, they get the story. It's so good. I agree with you, though. Pretty much everything else has been absolute shit.
Yeah, I will go out on a limb. Battlefront 1, I didn't get 2. I've always been a fan of Battlefront games. Sorry, mate?
The originals on the PS2 or the remakes?
I have played the originals. I had them on the Xbox, and then I played the first new one that they made. Because the first new one
I just downloaded the second one because I've seen a lot of people online being like really pushing playing it. Because apparently the developers for the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 are like, we're sat here, we want to make a new one. We're just waiting for the call. And the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, that I'm pretty sure came out in 2006, because, hang on, let me work this out. No.
It was after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. I bought it on my 11th birthday. That's what I was trying to remember. I have put probably about 5,000 to 7,000 hours into that game. I love that game to pieces.
That was great because it had its single player story, which nicely tied between episodes 3 and 4, without going too mad, which I thought was really nicely done.
Because it was the fall of the Republic into the rise of the Empire from the clones' point of view.
Yep.
So good.
Which, and I think this is what works with Rogue One and Andor, right? And I'm going out on a limb and saying this. But they need to claw back everything being about fucking Jedi. As much as Jedi are Star Wars, and that's the thing, the stuff that really works really well is when you just take it back to average people, soldiers stuck in situations, people living their lives in this mystical thing where there's this Force religion called the Force and all this mad shit. Just make more stuff about normal people in the Star Wars universe, and I think that you make it more relatable and people buy into it more.
100%.
Like, I don't know if you agree on that or not, Doug, but I think that's really what worked well with Rogue One and Andor. And I know obviously we're talking about Ahsoka and bits, but some of the characters that have worked well on those shows have been the non-Force users. Thrawn is Thrawn. Thrawn was going to be sick no matter what they did with him, and I'm so glad they got the same actor who voiced him to play him because it wouldn't have worked otherwise. But less Force, more people.
I can agree to that. Do you want a really good segue? I agree the same thing with the Henry Cavill produced Amazon series for 40k.
Oh, so no Space Marines, no Inquisition, just
Guard. Start with the Guard and go from there. Have Space Marines be like the myth, much like Jedi are.
Mm.
I'm saying that as well. Like, if you're going to do a Henry Cavill 40k TV show, the Space Marines have to turn up at the end of the first season. For me, they have to turn up. because
Yeah.
But save it.
because they're that,
Save it till the end.
yeah, because they're that scarce that not everybody sees them. But see, just come back to computer games and storylines. For me, the best Star Wars game with a storyline, because one of the best twists in it is Knights of the Old Republic, the first one.
Yes.
Because my friend named his character Darth Malak. And then he goes, "You're not Darth Malak. Oh, you're not Darth Malak. You're Darth Malak." My mate was like that. What?
More.
And then he realised that like, it was supposed to be whatever name he put in that wasn't Darth Malak. For me, that was like, I am your father. That was one of the best twists in any game, that you're actually the Jedi.
Solid.
You're Darth Malak who has had his mind wiped for me. And I love the Knights of the Old Republic game. Knights of the Old Republic 2 is rushed. I'm hoping that we get Knights of Republic 3. And Commissar Molotov 1313 looked absolutely amazing. I would have loved that.
It looks so good.
That was the one massive loss, and I think the shrinking of LucasArts as a whole has been a tragedy. It's just absolute shambles. Because like I was talking about something the other day with my mates, and we were talking about a load of old computer game consoles, and the GameCube launch had Rogue Squadron 2 on it.
Yes.
That has been one of the most, that to me is one of the standout games of Star Wars, because again, it was everything linked from A New Hope all the way up to Return of the Jedi. It was really well done, and it was a quality game. And you don't get stuff like that anymore. They did the what do they call it? Squadrons, which was meant to be the new version of it.
Yeah.
Just so broken. It was horrible.
Wasn't that like a heavily VR game as well?
Yeah, you could do a lot of VR stuff in it, because when you've got you're in your TIE fighter or X-Wing or whatever, like part of it is you're looking around the cockpit and pressing the controller, and certain things are happening and stuff, and it looked quality. Like the graphics on it, the design of it, everything was really good. But I played the story mode, I got to the second mission, and it just kept bugging out on checkpoints on me. And
excellent.
All I ended up doing was flying around in a circle for half an hour trying to find this invisible checkpoint in space, and it's like fucking hell, needle in a haystack. But
that sounds like they made a VR pilot game and went, "We need this to sell. Well, we'll slap a TIE fighter in it, and that'll do it."
Yeah.
Then they as well buy it, and we did. Do you know what I mean?
But
one of my favourites.
Yeah, it was
one of my favourite space. One of my favourite space games. I think it was TIE Fighter, but it was like an old PC game, and you had to manage your shields. Fucking hell, man, that was hard.
That's what Squadrons does as well. It really takes it back to the old X-Wing TIE Fighter series, and like as you're flying around, you've got to figure out: do I want the shields going all the way around, or do I have to? It's the silly quotes: put the deflectors on double front and stuff like that. And you have to actually think: I'm flying at something shooting at me. I've got to shift my shields forward. I've got to try and do I slow down to shoot it back, or do I speed up to get past it? And it was proper brain meant. Like, yeah, it was decent. I agree with you, Mole. But it's just the single player let it down. Yeah, well.
So will we continue with Star Wars? Because I could talk about Star Wars till the cows come home.
I mean,
I wanted to call my son Anakin, but the wife vetoed that, and then I wanted to call him Boba Fett, and she vetoed that as well, didn't you? So Luke was a compromise. I did consider calling him Sherlock, because I would never have had to have punished him, because my last name is Holmes. I could have said no shit Sherlock all the time, and elementary, my dear Holmes. But Luke was a compromise for the Star Wars stuff.
It feels like a fair compromise.
Yeah.
No, Matt, mine. I know we talked about it before. Mine. I haven't tried the X-Wing tabletop game out. There was, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but with part of the Star Wars games that they released, they've done tabletop versions of fleet battles. So you've got Star Destroyers versus the Rebel fleets and stuff. But you also, yeah, and you can also then break it down to squadron actions of Like you can buy the independent little X-Wings and stuff like that. The minis were amazing, and the game's been discontinued, but it looks solid.
I've got the game. Somebody gave me the game, but I lost the dice. So I need to now buy the dice for it, because you need the dice because of for the. I think red dice is for the Imperials and green dice is for the Alliance. Rebel scum.
You sure the dog didn't eat the dice?
No, I definitely lost them somewhere. I think he never gave me the dice, and then he did give me the dice when I went into work today, and then I think I either left them in the office or I dropped them somewhere.
Yeah, there you go.
I always kind of wanted to play Legion as well, because it's that sort of wheelhouse, isn't it? It's basically 40k but Star Wars. So I have come close a couple of times to picking up the Clone Wars starter box for that, because I really want to paint a bunch of clones, specifically Phase 1 clones. Phase 2 can get in the bin. That's my hot take.
The phase, I can never remember the difference between Phase 1 and Phase 2. It's the helmets that have sort of changed more than anything, isn't it?
One is the one that looks more like a Mandalorian helmet from Attack of the Clones. Phase 2 is the one that looks more like a Stormtrooper from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, they did away with the fin on its head and stuff.
Yeah, that's the one I like. Phase 1 is the better one.
Yeah, I've always liked the Republic Commando armor. That game felt like it should have been a lot longer, but the characters that came of it, the little spin-off books they did, and then I know they've got the minis in Shatterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're also do they turn up in? They don't turn up in Rebels. I think they turn up in the Bad Batch as well.
There's like one episode of Bad Batch they turn up in, and then one episode of Clone Wars they turn up in. They turn up in Clone Wars with a coffin.
That's it. Yeah, that was such a good game as well. Again, that game, like you said, that game felt like it was about 6 to 10 hours shorter than it should have been.
Yeah, and it was a shame because it was brilliant. Like the second level as well, because it was just original. It was like you're reconning the spaceship. It was like, mwah.
So good.
And even the squad mechanics. I remember people going on PC mods and they were changing other games to have the squad mechanics from that to it.
The squad mechanics in that was so unique. Like you can't think of a game now that is even similar to it, let alone like it.
No, I can't think of anything because it was just that well done.
Yeah,
like a simple thing. Even if you've got, I would I'd get pissed off with myself because I'm trying to hack a door, and for some reason the sniper's going to hack the door, and I'm like, no, fuck off, you come back here, you go there. And I'd spend 10 minutes trying to get the right one to hack a door, even though the difference is about 10 seconds in the action.
Yeah.
But it feels like you've not come on it before, right?
Did you ever play Star Wars Empire at War, which was the kind of space battle, and then you could do the land battles? I never did the land battles. I just concentrated on the
Empire War was
battles.
the one that's like Command and Conquer, isn't it?
Kind of, and you'd have to conquer the different systems, but at the same time, I always went the Empire and the pirate faction, because they did a DLC, there was another faction they added into it as well. They would just race ahead and because you had to consolidate but not leave yourself too bare.
See, I never played that one properly. I had one before it it was just purely, what was it called? It might have been called Rebellion. Star Wars, I think in America it was called Star Wars Rebellion, and it was essentially just fleet battles and managing planets.
So kind of like Battlefleet Gothic then.
A little bit, yeah. But the fleet battles were really cool in it because like you had such a massive database of all the different ships you could build. You had the one with the gravity well projectors in it. You had all sorts of madness. You could build Death Stars, and I would always play Empire just because I could build a Death Star and blow planets up, and it was great fun.
Fair. Yeah. See, I was about to say, me as a kid would have loved that because I'd have just poured over that. Me as an adult would love that just so I could pour over it, to be fair.
Yeah, it had an inbuilt game encyclopedia on it, and I think I spent more hours sitting there and reading that general stuff, because there's something in the second series of Andor, and it was in that game, and the fact that they've gone back and they've proper done old Legends lore and they're bringing it into the canon, which again I know something you both appreciate, but there's just so many little things that, like, it popped up in the show and I was like, hang on, that was in this, and I paused the show and went back and googled it to make sure I wasn't going mad, and I was like, fuck yeah. So yes, you gotta love it when they do that.
I remember when Ahsoka came out, Balin has his two apprentices. He has Shin Hati and then the guy in the mask. I remember so many people, myself included, I'll admit, everyone thought that was going to be Starkiller from Force Unleashed. And I was...
Because it was the same...
I was a little disappointed when it wasn't that. But for that week, before the episode came out where he then died, I was like, oh, what if it is? Because I'm pretty sure Sam Witwer was in the credits for something, but it must have been for like additional voices or something. And everyone went, oh my god, what if?
No, that is even that little, just a nod to that dark side armor that he had with all, because he had like the Cenobite sort of stuff, didn't it, with all the claws and all of that madness.
I'm pretty sure there's like a mock-up of this very similar to his armor that's then in, I can't remember the character's name, the guy that finances Andor.
Oh.
The one that's played by plays. Oh my god, he's a.
Luthen.
Thank you.
Stellan Skarsgård. Yeah.
Skarsgård. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in Luthen's collection in the first season there is an armor set that is almost identical to the Starkiller armor as well.
I can look at that.
Yeah, if it's not the full set, it's like a helmet or like a gauntlet or something. But people saw it and went. the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio clicking and whistling at the TV.
I mean, I'm just going to go back and watch it all anyway, so you give me extra reason to do that. I appreciate that.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it to then watch season 2, I reckon.
Yeah, I would definitely. I thought season 1 was quite slow, and then it sped up towards. I think once they got to the prison system, it was better for me. Season 2 was brilliant. I actually really enjoyed season 2. There's a few things I would have changed at the end to tie it in a bit better, but I'll wait until you're on the next time and we can discuss it. I think
what we do, you go away and you watch all of Andor, tell us when you're done, and we will just have a Star Wars special stream. I think that would be a good way to do it.
I'm so down for that.
Yeah. Right, guys, I think we're going to have to call it time now, because we could be talking about Star Wars all fucking day long. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, Ed, before we go?
And plug yourself when you're painting.
Cool. Okay, so I'll plug me. I'm at the Frozen Ferrule on Facebook, Instagram. Brilliant. On Instagram, I do commission painting. I do it to a reasonable level, and I'm cheap as hell. So hit me up.
And if anybody wants them to do Star Wars minis, there's your man there.
Somebody get me to paint some Phase 1 clone troopers.
Got it. There you go.
In terms of people I want to shout out, firstly, I don't know if he's watching. I'll shout out Martin, who is the guy that runs Bugle Bat Reps, which I'm repping right now. He's the guy that basically runs 40k in Cornwall and does a fantastic job, so he deserves a shout out. And I will shout out Alex at Sanctum Games here in my hometown, who, like, he will get anything you need. Paints, models, glue, the lot. If you can't get it, give him a week and he'll have it. And everything's 20% off. So, literally the guy I go to for everything.
Perfect. Casey, any words of wisdom from yourself tonight?
Yeah, don't forget to change your fish water if you've got fish, because after a little while it goes green and it's horrible.
Get a better filter. I only ever top up my fish tank, and my fish have been in my tank 10 years and they're still alive.
Shitty.
Get one better. Get one of those little, like, guppy fish that sit on the side of the tank and eat the algae.
Yeah.
Should do that, actually.
He
wants a new fish, so yeah.
You need at least 2 bottom feeders to eat up everything that's bad.
I've got enough bottom feeders in my life with Warpgate Studios in my life.
Yay! There we go. Right, folks, we are back next week. We have a totally different guest and a totally different dynamic. We have got Dark Souls models next week. A guy who prints off minis from the Dark Souls games and paints them, and the Elden Ring games. So we're looking forward to having him on. If you don't follow his page already, give him a follow. Give Ed a follow, and remember, for all your commission needs, Ed's the man to see. And for any brushes, orange brushes are the brushes that you need. And for any Crystal Palace nonsense, Casey's the man you need to see about that. Folks, we'll see you next week.